night was there was a lot going on. I dreamt like 10 dreams. I don't know. It was a lot going on. But the ones that I specifically remember, the first one I remember is I was living in the 1800s and I was a Scottish man. I remember wearing a kilt, and like I am Scottish and like my family's from there, but like we're Canadian. We've lived here for probably like over 100 years now. But some of my great grandparents are buried up there in the Highlands of Scotland. So it's cool that I was dreaming that, but I was this man. I was like, I had like big legs. Like I remember looking down at my legs. I was like, am I a man? I was like, okay. And I was like, and I told him like, my legs were nice.
Some nice thighs.
Some nice legs. He just laughs at me at breakfast, just sitting there, just describing this. So I'm walking. I wasn't on horseback, but I was just walking through the Highlands, and I think I was going to a nearby town. I'm not sure what my objective was. I don't even know who I was. Like I just was some guy. And I come across a young woman who is injured on the roadside. And in my internal dialogue, I'm thinking, is this a trap? Like, I'm like, I go into like hypervigilance, like protective mode, like kind of scanning my surroundings. And I think, oh, is this a trap? But I'm like thinking, I don't have any money on me. I don't even have a horse. There's nothing they could possibly steal from me. I'm also not a woman. So like the harm, like if anything could happen to me, it's probably, this is funny. My internal dialogue in dreams is pretty complex. Like
it's like still you.
It's still me,
weird,
but I'm in someone else's body.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to help her. So I decide to help this girl, and I approach her, and her leg is injured, but I don't have anything to kind of like fix it. So I look and I notice that she's actually a thief, and that she has stolen someone's money, and there's gold coins just scattered across the road. So at first I'm like, okay, like she's done something bad. She's probably running from someone. So I decide to help her anyway. And I gather up all her stuff. Then she offers me some of the money. So there's this test going on, which I'm tested a lot in dream time. Morally, I'm usually tested. And I said, no. Like, I don't want your money. Like, I'm happy to help. So she pulls off a button off of her like petticoat as like a trinket of like, thanks. It was very weird. She just like pulled it off and gave it to me. And then on I went. That was it. That's all the dream was. It was very strange. And then
But you accepted the gift, eh?
I did accept the button. I took it. I don't even know. I got to look into this one. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
I was a nice gentleman, though. Yeah. Whoever it was a good soul.
We did.
I felt like a good person.
I'll just add in real quick, because yesterday when we were doing our tarot, one of the cards that came up, the dream symbol was gifts. And the significance of gifts was relating back to like your willingness to be able to accept the gifts of the present moment, and being able to kind of like acknowledge the gifts that are already within your life. So it's kind of interesting, because even in that circumstance, it kind of reflects that, where it's like you could have taken like the monetary gift, but you're like, no, like I don't want that. And instead, the gift that you received was like the gift of gratitude and like human connection in the symbol of a button, which is very much like that.
Wow,
that is like that's like a good testament of your character, I would say, to find the gifts in like the meaningful connections. And the kindness, I would say. And the button was just a symbol of that.
Wow.
Oh, Lauren has something to share too.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah, no, I thought it's coincidence that like that's why this one I'm like, you got a gift? Like what? Like
a button.
I might be able to add something in here. Lauren, go ahead, jump in. You want?
I'm curious what you thought about the thief after she gave you the button. Like you were like, no, you're a thief. You're giving me stolen money.
I don't want to take your stolen money. But obviously we actually had this like kid. So there was this moment when she was giving me the button, and she was kind of like on the ground. I was towering over her, and I kind of like, we like locked eyes for a moment, and there was a gentleness in her. She seemed wounded, and I thought maybe she was a reflection of me, even to a degree, but she just seemed lost. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like she just felt like she needed someone.
She wasn't a bad person.
No.
She wasn't. Sounds like a spin-off series of Outlander.
Well, it could be, man.
Fan fiction.
Maybe I was.
I think so.
Maybe I was. What's his name?
My Sassenach.
Yeah, Sam or whatever his name
Yeah.
is. But yeah, so that was just the first dream, and then
No, you didn't even wake up between these dreams, or did you?
no,
It just.
I dream jumped. That's what I call it, because there's
Dream
like this like time where like nothing. It sometimes I'll have dreams that are quite linear, like where I'm moving through spaces and I know they're connected. They're like the whole dream sequence is connected in some way, whether through a portal or a doorway or through like they're connected, even if I'm a different person or I'm still myself, but it's like a new environment. But these were quite disjointed in the sense that I don't remember how I got from point A to point B. That's all I can say for these particular 3 dreams that maybe are connected and I just don't know. So now I'm actually way into the future and I'm in some Videodrome battle royale fight for the death situation where I'm in this very futuristic maze, like caged maze, and I'm also a man. Again, I know I'm a young man in this now, so I was an older man, now I'm a younger man. I don't know what that's about. And I hear someone on like a PA system like announcing this battle that's about to take place. I'm like, oh shit, that's me. Like I'm gonna have to, and I don't like, I don't like hurting people. So like, I think it's very last, unless someone I know is like a loved one is gonna get harmed, then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fucking battle. Like I'm ready. But usually I'm like super passive. So I was like, oh, I can't kill someone. Like I don't know. And like, I don't know what this is about. So I'm like, I need to escape. I have these weird contraptions on my feet. They're like hover rollerblade situation. It's very like, it's trippy. And so I'm just like, go. And I start going because this like thing goes off to like tell us that the game has started. And I can't see outside the maze. It's black. It's just pure black. And it's just me and my own thoughts. It's very illuminated inside the maze. And I'm racing through the maze. And then on that far side, I see a contestant, my opponent or whoever the heck they are. And I'm like, oh no, like, are they going to come at me? Like, I obviously have to defend myself. So I'm like going through and I'm trying to go as fast as I can to try to get around them. So this person puts their arm out to like
clothesline
me. But I dodged it. I was like, whoa. And I like moved to the side and they like went like this. And then I put my foot out and tripped this person and they went flying and they fell on their back. And then I had this moment to keep going, but I looked back and they were like groaning in pain, like on their back. And I just felt terrible. I was like, oh my, I have to check if they're okay. So I go back and I realize it's a woman and I'm like in love with her. She's like, I don't know how we know each other.
It's like a post-apocalyptic scenario where you were both like, they captured
they pinned
you
us against each other, but this is like the love of my life.
Yeah.
That's all I remember from that
It's a scene from a movie, like I swear.
They play out like movies and I was like, oh my God. And then she realized who I was and we're looking at it. She's like, like we're gonna have to get out of here together. Like that was like the thought, at least I don't know what her thought process was, but my thought was like, well, I'll save her as well.
So intense.
It was really intense. I was like, what the hell? And so anyways, dream jump again.
So that's where that dream ended? Like
yeah, literally just ended as we locked eyes.
Freaking cliffhangers, man.
Why are they cliffhangers? I want to know more. Like, who is she? Like, where do we live?
And we were also talking this morning, because I was like, Lacey's telling me this. I'm like, Lacey, that sounds like the movie Running Man.
I've never seen that movie.
Never heard of, but for anybody, look up the trailer
I might have to watch
of Running Man, and it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger in this post-apocalyptic game show where they're like on rollerblades, and it's like a fight to the death battle royale. And I'm like, that's what that was.
That's what that was. Maybe in some
maybe it
weird
exists,
timeline.
Though. It's on some other
I've been to prison planets and dream places. Maybe
game show planets and stuff. Yeah,
where I'm like entertainment for the elite. I don't know.
It's something like that. Too real, man. Too real.
Too real. Anyways,
okay.
So
next
it gets
story. One more story.
Much less like what, and a little bit more intentional.
Oh, this one's good. This one's very relative too. Yeah.
So now I'm like standing in a field, just like it's kind of like a beautiful sunny day. And I'm just kind of looking around. I don't know how I've gotten here. I'm just there. And then a golden retriever, a dog, approaches me. And I'm like, oh, okay, there's a lost dog. But then I kind of come to the realization that this dog is actually not lost, that it's retrieving me. And it's actually leading me somewhere. So I'm the one that's lost. So I follow the dog through these like kind of rolling hillsides to a forest where a small house is nestled in the woods. I approach the house. The house is very weird. It's like, all I can explain is like Tetris. It's like very like different shapes and like lots of stained glass, and like the wood is not, there's no like straight walls. Everything is very curved and interesting, and it kind of reminds me of like a witch's house in the woods. Like it's very mystical and magical. And so I go inside the house and Brendon's there, and I'm like, oh, like, okay, so the dog just led me back to Brendon. So I explore the house for a bit, and I'm very like childlike, kind of just like playing around. And I notice a lot of the house is like sacred geometry and like spirals everywhere. And the wood is like very trippy. Like the wood isn't even like it's like curved. So I'm like climbing from the rooftop all the way back down to the lower level. And it's like a spiraling staircase. And I'm like, woo! And I'm like running and I'm playing. It just reminded me of when I was a little girl a lot. And so I get down to the bottom floor after I've played in the house for a while, and Brendon's in this like narrow kitchen. And I remember there like being a huge window at the backside of it with a lot of light coming in.
Was I cooking?
You weren't cooking, you were just standing in the kitchen, but there was a landline and a phone, like someone calls. So he picks it up and I'm standing beside him, and I can hear the person on the other line. And he says, I'm an elder from the Lakota tribe. And he's like, I'm calling because of the state of the planet. And like, he's talking about really intense stuff about like, yeah, like saving the planet and saving like the human race and stuff. And Brendon's just kind of like agreeing with him and talking with him. And I'm just kind of standing there like, what's going on? What? And so he gives us like coordinates to a secret location. He doesn't really tell us what's going to happen there or anything like that. He just tells us we should go there. So we literally pack up a couple bags, just like backpacks, and we leave. And we got there pretty instantaneously. Like there was no journey there. Like we were just there. And it was a secret garden. And there's a huge old Victorian home, like at the center of the garden. It was huge. And there was murals everywhere, like the house is painted. It was very cool, psychedelic looking stuff. I was like, oh, this is a cool place. And we approached, and out from the house came people of all different creeds and nationality, like just people from all over. And one guy was like, he was doing kung fu. He was doing some pretty cool stuff on the front lawn. But the trippiest thing is that I could see that they had halos. So they had like, I don't know if they were like, I don't know, like maybe like philosophers from the past or like Buddhists, or I don't know, but these people were definitely,
they're like ambassadors for their nations,
ambassadors for their particular areas of the world, I think. But they had these like radiating halos coming from the back of their head. They were like peachy pinky color, like, and the vibe was,
did they make that noise?
I don't know, like kind of.
That's the sound is what they looked like. Yeah.
But the vibe was so good. It was so good. I was like, whoa, this is where I'm supposed to be. Like, this is it. Like, and it just felt so good that we were welcomed. And I think we were there to learn.
Yes.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah,
from these masters.
We were there to be a part of the tribes coming together.
The tribes were coming together. Yeah. So it felt like that, but there was no words spoken. Like I woke up and wrote that all down. Like I don't remember really talking to them. Like we just came up and they kind of welcomed us in, and we were kind of I was just kind of like looking at all of them, and I was like, whoa, these are really beautiful people. Like I was just like, this is really cool. I can't believe we've been invited to this.
Yeah.
Like that was pretty much it. But
It's very powerful.
it was a powerful dream.
Very, very reflective of like, yeah, like what's happening right now in the world. And it's always trippy because like she'll dream of me every now and then sometimes I'm like standing there listening to her talk about her dream. And as she's talking to me, I almost like feel the part of myself like in the dream. So it's like, was what she was seeing, was it just like a projection of me, or was it actually like was it my soul in that shared dream space? Because the fact that I show up so commonly in her dreams, and yeah, and even when I'm listening to her, like I listen to her and then I feel as if I'm almost listening to her kind of like telling me something that I already know. And so it feels for me like almost like hearing a memory of something that I forgot from someone outside of myself. And as I hear it, it like activates the memory. And I'm like, oh yeah, you know, like she's telling me, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, like I like sent my dog to go get you. I'm like, oh yeah, no, like that was like the
dog
that was like the
me.
golden eagle chief of the Lakota tribe, you know, like I know who that was and stuff like that. And like, oh yeah, you know, like that was about bringing the tribes together for the Council of the Seven Realms. And stuff like, you know,
I was just along for the ride. Apparently,
yeah,
I'm just like witnessing it. I'm like, I don't know what's going on in the higher dimensional realms. I'm just, I feel a lot of time I feel very like young Lacey. So in dream time, I'm very much me, unfiltered, innocent Lacey. So it's like kind of cool. It's like it's cool to be her. Yeah. So I don't always get the chance. Now.
Cool.
So
Cool.
yeah.
And as much as that's like young Lacey, that's actually just like Lacey.
Well, it is me.
It
but
is
what
like,
I mean unfiltered is like me
this,
without
like,
all that like
kind of
crazy life experience. I mean, obviously that made me who I am today. I wouldn't be who I am without it, but
a lighter version
who kind of receives a little bit, because I think for me it's hard to receive. So young Lacey is a little bit more receptive.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'll just say this, and then if there's anything else, Lacey, but then we can pass it over to if Lauren wants to be able to share. And again, I know time is just flying by here. It is interesting sometimes when Lacey shares these dreams with me that involve me, because honestly there have been like moments where she shared these dreams where like I actually like I feel like it's like bringing together soul fragments of my being, so to speak. And I actually feel like I'm like learning about myself through dreams that she has of me, in which I'm like fulfilling certain roles, where she'll see me kind of like in like archetypes, like facilitators for sacred circles and stuff like that, or like leaders of resistance and stuff.
Always.
And I'm just
Always.
like, I'm like, oh,
In
like,
all
whoa,
timelines.
like, so like when she tells me this, it's like, she's like bringing something back that was like a fragment of my soul that I had lost or something, or I'd forgotten about it and stuff.
That's so sweet.
So it's like, it's really cool, because it's like, you know, there's a reason we're together, and you know, it's kind of happening in both directions. And I'll dream of her, but she definitely dreams about me more often. And maybe I'll start dreaming about more even just by, you know, us kind of like talking about that. But I mean, even the idea of us, like, this will be a discussion for maybe next time we do this dream circle. But again, you know, the topic of like shared dreaming, and especially for like partners to be able to develop that as a practice together, you know, like that's the thing that fascinates me about dreams, and why I want to have this dream circle is not just to like talk about things that are happening, but to like really begin to imagine the potential of where we can evolve into our dream practice. And, you know, like, where could it literally be in like 10 years from now? Where could it be if like, you know, on another planet, when these conscious civilizations evolve, what's their dream practice like? You know, you start fathoming this, and then you can start kind of like reverse engineering it back into our experiences. So I feel in a lot of ways we're just like scratching the surface, right? So
absolutely.
Lacey, anything else you just want to say, and then we can pass it over to Lauren, and then go from there. So that was like, how did those dreams make you feel when you woke up? Because I always like to emphasize like the feeling, you know, like
the feeling was definitely like curiosity, I guess. I think for me, I'm always fascinated by my own soul's journey. The amount of lifetimes or like bodies that I inhabit is pretty wild. That's all I can really say about that. It's just, I'm always fascinated by that. Like, you know, the fact that I was like maybe a warrior in Scotland at some point, and I've been a midwife in Africa, and like just like I just find it I'm like, why, like, am I who I am because of those?
Yeah.
All of them. A lot of the things that I like, past life experiences, I'll say, I don't know for sure, but like dream experiences, the positions, because he always talks about his own soul fragments, and I think I'm collecting my own, right? So I'm like, oh, I'm always in a position of, what's the word, I'm helping someone. Like I'm always like I'm not like a leader, I'm not the like facilitator, I'm not the necessarily the hero of the story, but I'm like this particular character,
Like a noble ally.
That's an ally that's always there to kind of aid people on their journey. So I always find that pretty cool. Like I've been doctors, I've been I'm always like helping people discover their own.
That makes sense. You're like, and like sometimes you're like a guide.
Usually a guide.
Yeah.
Like I've been the guide to the afterlife.
Oh yeah, that's a whole topic. That's a story for another time. The one crossing the river. We talked about that in a dream class, I remember.
I did talk about that. I was helping souls to the afterlife, cross the river.
Fascinating.
So that to me is just very symbolic of my role in many lifetimes.
Makes sense.
It seems.
Yeah, cool. And again, going back to that role of that dream of you like helping that woman who needed your help and stuff. Again, moments like that, when you get to like see yourself in those genuine moments, kind of like reveal a part of your character, can be very reassuring, because it's just like, oh, this world will sometimes try to convince us that we're all like, twisted and evil and everything like that. But I think each and every single one of us at the core of our being has a good heart.
Absolutely.
And so I think just being able to see ourselves in those dream scenarios where we do something that is like of good nature, it's like, oh, wow, like that's in me, like I care genuinely about my fellow humans and stuff like that. So
that was something for me. So, like in all these different experiences, I always saw myself in the other people.
So Buddha nature.
It's just like I could, I guess, extend a lot of compassion for wherever they might be in their journey. Which gave me an easy choice.
Dreams are very powerful for that. Like dreams literally are like mirrors for us to see more of ourselves. So sometimes in dreams, I've said this before, sometimes we see the villain, but then also sometimes we see the hero within inside of us. And then even then, when you do see the villain, sometimes you see the villain not just to say, hey, this is like the ultimate truth of who you are, but for you to be able to awaken from it and be able to perhaps make that choice to say, that isn't me, so to speak. But then when we do have those moments of goodness, I think those can be very empowering when you wake up and you're just like, and not even just goodness, but sometimes like moments of like heroism and courage. You wake up and you're like, whoa, like there's like this like warrior spirit inside of me. Like there's something really powerful and strong and courageous inside of me. And sometimes we forget that that's inside of us. So like the dreams can actually be much like a good friend, where they're just like, hey, like you're pretty awesome. Like this is inside of you. Don't forget this. Like, let me help you.
Let me remind you.
Let me remind you,
that like
reheart you.
You are courageous and that you are capable and powerful. And it's absolutely been amazing reminder for me, because I definitely can forget that.
Cool. Well, we'll keep things moving along here. I appreciate everybody hanging out, and